We have a little fact check for the audience because we did go through some of the nonsense claims regarding the special counsel's report. I'm just going to go through them quickly. He misled the nation on key elements of the special counsel's report. Here's one example.
I've seen the headlines since the report was released about my willful retention of documents. These assertions are not only misleading, they're just plain wrong. On page 215, if you had a chance, I know it's a thick document. On page 215 of the report of the special counsel found the exact opposite. Here's what he wrote. There is in fact a shortage of evidence that I willfully retained classified materials related to Afghanistan. On page 12, the special counsel also wrote for another documents. The decision to decline criminal charges was straightforward. The evidence suggests that Mr. Biden did not willfully retain these documents.
He's misleading you. In certain parts of the report, the special counsel found Mr. Biden may not have realized folders contain national defense information. And if that's the case, that he then would not have willfully retained such info. But the special counsel makes it clear in the second paragraph of the report that, quote, our investigation uncovered evidence that President Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials after his vice presidency when he was a private citizen. Done. The president also misled on the following.
I did not share classified information. I did not share it.
With your ghostwriter?
With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not.
But the special counsel said
well, no, they did not say that.
Okay. It didn't say that you shared classified information, not with your ghostwriter. The report actually found, quote, Mr. Biden sometimes skipped over presumptively classified material and warned his ghostwriter that the entries might be classified. But at least 3 times, Mr. Biden read from classified entries aloud to his ghostwriter nearly verbatim. By the way, the ghostwriter was told to turn over the tapes that he had of Mr. Biden doing all that, and he deleted the tapes after the investigation began. They considered charging him criminally. Real question as to why he didn't get charged. Why is Trump's right-hand man, Walt Natua, facing all these charges, but the ghostwriter who's destroying tapes when he knows that there's an investigation underway, different story. I'd love to get an answer to that. And then there was this claim.
I didn't know how half the boxes got in my garage until I found out staff gathered them up, put them together, and took them to the garage in my home. And all the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked. It was in my house. It wasn't out in Mar-a-Lago in a public place and none of it was high classified. Didn't have any of that red stuff on it. You know what I mean? Around the corners? None of that.
However, according to the report, among the places Mr. Biden's lawyers found classified documents was a damaged open box in his garage. Look at this picture. Is it possible the president had these documents under lock and key at some point? I guess so, but they weren't here. So once again, he's misleading. And all of this will be ignored, Ben, because we're supposed to just believe it's totally different. Trump is worse. The special counsel pointed out that Trump is worse, which I concede. The special counsel did point that out on the document retention and production once subpoenas have been issued. But that doesn't excuse what Joe Biden did, because he's been out there for years now since Trump got in trouble, telling us how horrific he finds this.
That's right. I mean, so there are a few charges that President Trump is facing in the classified documents case. Some are obstruction charges and some are mishandling of classified documents charges. The sort of distinction between the two would only be with regard to obstruction. It would only be with regard to President Trump shifting the boxes around in Mar-a-Lago or whatever. But the underlying question of whether Trump retained classified documents is exactly the same as whether Joe Biden retained classified documents. In fact, the special counsel's report specifically says that it was totally in Joe Biden's interest to retain classified documents. In fact, some of the excuses that Joe Biden used with regard to classified documents sound very much like the kinds of excuses that you hear from President Trump. He, for example, had a bunch of classified materials and notebooks that he'd written. He said, these are my notebooks. These notebooks belong to me. These are my materials. That's exactly the same thing that President Trump says about a lot of the materials that were in his possession. So at the best, you can say the special counsel's office sort of distinguished the obstruction charges against Trump from no obstruction for Biden. But as far as the mishandling of classified materials, there's no question that Biden not only mishandled classified materials, he knowingly mishandled classified materials. He just had excuses for it. And then when he got caught, he turned it over. Okay, so that is a distinction, that when he got caught, he turned it over. But again, that doesn't explain why he was let off the hook on the classified doc charges, which is why it is necessary, again, for the special counsel to say we let him off because we couldn't prosecute him, because if we prosecuted him, he would get off because he's old and senile.
Yeah. So, really, you saw it all over Twitter last night, X, that he's not mentally competent to stand trial or to be convicted in a court of law, but he is to be president, to be reelected to a second term. Realistically, this is going to be on about 10,000 ads, bumper stickers, slogan. Trump's going to be out there nonstop with that phrase, elderly, what is it? The elderly man with a bad memory. That's going to be everywhere. And that's putting it mildly. By the way, just a little color on that. Biden's lawyers came out and ripped on the report in part by saying it, quote, uses highly prejudicial language, which, by the way, we always used to say in the law, you can object prejudicial and you'll get laughed out of court. You have to object unfairly prejudicial. That's what the law prohibits in a courtroom. Unfairly prejudicial, yes, the entire prosecution case will be prejudicial. It's going to hurt. Unfairly is the question. So it's interesting that they just say it's highly prejudicial. Yes, conceded. It makes your guy look bad, but you're not claiming it was unfair because it wasn't. To describe a commonplace occurrence among witnesses, like they all suffered from this, Ben, quote, a lack of recall of years-old events, like when his son died, like when he was the vice president. It's just not going to fly.
What's amazing about this, just speaking historically, is that we have had cases where the president of the United States was incapacitated and continued to serve. Obviously, Woodrow Wilson was incapacitated for the last several years of his administration. His wife was basically President Edith. And then there are serious questions about at the very tail end of Ronald Reagan's tenure, because during Iran-Contra, he also said that he couldn't remember a lot of things. And that was a major national scandal at the time. We're not talking about the end of a man's second term. We're talking about a guy's first term. He's still up for election. That's the part that's so insane about all of this, is that knowing this, going in, they're running him right now. And again, if he were elected, he would finish his second term and he would be 86 years old. Does anyone believe that he is going, given his state right now, given the amount of decline he's shown even between 2020 and 2024, what exactly does that trajectory look like by the time he is 86 years old? There's not a person alive in the United States with half a functioning brain who believes that he will have a functioning brain by the time we get to year 2 of term 2 of his administration.
That was the best line Nikki Haley said while campaigning. A vote for President Biden is a vote for President Harris. That's obviously true, and more obvious than ever. All right, now, before you go, divided states of Biden. I love this idea. So you're taking trips to what? Swing states? What states are you going to? Trying to show just exactly what that means. Divided states of Biden are unifier.
So we're basically going to all the sites in America where the issues are most relevant. So we went down to the southern border. We went down to the San Miguel Gate in Arizona to take a look at how open the border is. The answer, wide open. That is a purposeful Joe Biden policy. That was episode 1. Yesterday, we were actually in Kensington, which is a suburb of Philadelphia, which has been completely taken over by fentanyl and Trank to focus in on the fentanyl crisis. I've never seen anything remotely like it. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in the United States. It looks like something out of Mad Max. You're talking about just miles stretch of road in which wall-to-wall people are just shooting up openly in the public, rotting flesh, lighting fires, hunched over because of what the drugs are doing to them. We saw probably two probable murder scenes in the course of maybe a 15-minute drive around that area. We also went over to Camden, New Jersey to take a look at a place that was supposed to be cured of crime. By cured of crime, I mean it is still one of the highest crime areas in the United States. And there may be some stats that are getting covered up about all of that. This country is in serious and dire trouble. And Divided States of Biden is designed to highlight each of these issues from a location where it's actually happening. So it's not just us in the studio talking about it. You can actually see the footage for yourself and see what it looks like on the ground in places where most of us aren't going to go.
So Texas, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. So it sounds like you went to the red states, the blue states, but did you go to the green states? The rarely seen.
You laugh so you don't cry.
True or false? Using your tax refund to pay off credit card debt is smart. False. Donewithdebt.com published a strategy designed to let you keep your hard-earned tax refund. Wouldn't that be nice? And also reduce or even eliminate credit card debt. Most Americans owe thousands in credit card debt that will take years to pay off, if ever. Done with Debt found that filing bankruptcy is usually not the answer, and taking out loans to pay off credit cards usually increases your debt. When you engage Done with Debt, their legal experts and skilled negotiators take on the credit card companies for you. Their winning strategies are designed with one goal: Solve your debt situation quickly and permanently. First things first, chat with a done with debt strategist and explore your solutions. Some debt fighting strategies are time sensitive though, so you're going to need to move quickly on this. For a free consultation, visit donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.